Alison Sehgal. I'm here from the University of Pittsburgh Medical Center. I am an assistant professor of medicine, and I specialize in treatment of lymphoma, leukemia, and blood cancers. This was a phase 2 trial called the pilot study, where we enrolled patients that had relapsed refractory large B-cell lymphoma who were not intended to receive a stem cell transplant, that had failed one prior line of therapy. So all patients on this study received liso-cel. There were 61 of them that received liso-cel and were included in this analysis, and this is the final analysis of the study. So we felt this was important because patients who are not intended to receive a stem cell transplant have a pretty limited arsenal of treatments that they can receive, and so they historically have a pretty poor prognosis. So this study looked at patients who were not intended for transplant, and we had a defined criteria for what that was. Most of the patients were over age 70, and then many of them had very specific comorbidities and decreased organ function. And so we saw that when they received liso-cel, that the overall response rate was high. It was about 80%, and the CR rate was in the 50% range. And then most of those responses were quite durable. This updated analysis had about a 2-year follow-up, and the duration of response was 23 months for the whole cohort. In patients that had achieved a CR, the median duration of response wasn't reached. We saw no new safety signals from the primary analysis. There was no CRS or neurotoxicity in the post-treatment emergent period. And overall, we felt that the study showed that patients that are in this transplant not intended group, who are an older group, a sicker group, they actually did quite well with liso-cel infusion, and they tolerated it well, and many of them had durable responses despite being a high-risk group. So patients who are not intended for transplant, that have had one relapse, they are eligible to receive liso-cel. That's part of the FDA label, but now with this long-term follow-up, we know that the duration of response still is very good, that it's generally well tolerated in this patient group, even in the long run. And so we think that this should continue to be a really good option for these older patients.